Welcome to Kentucky Roll Call.
Here's a swing and a drive to deep left. Back goes Nixon. Looking up. Daly wins it. Daly wins it. Daly wins it.
With Walker and Peak.
Woodson from the gun. Play fake. Step it up. He's throwing deep down the near sideline. He's got Johnson. 20. Down. 5. Touchdown. Kentucky.
When Mitch called me and talked to me about being the head coach here at Kentucky, I understand the assignment. We are here to win banners.
Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you, March 24th, 2026. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. TJ Walker, Stephen Peak, producer Matt Childress. Hope you're having a great day. Want to give a happy birthday shout out to my mother. Happy birthday, Mom. Hey. Also, Stephen Peak. Hey. Yeah. Happy birthday to everybody born on March 24th, but especially to one Stephen Peak. Happy birthday, buddy. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, doing good. You know, it's funny. Yesterday you said on the show, big day for Peak tomorrow, and I was like, oh man, what am I doing tomorrow? Was there an email sent out? Is Kentucky doing some football thing that I need to be aware of? And I was racking my brain of like, what is he talking about? And then you were like, did you forget your birthday? And like, well, I guess I did. Yeah, it sneaks up on me. You know, there's been a common theme here over the last, 8 years or so. That is something like, happy birthday, sorry about Kentucky. We didn't get that last year. I think that they didn't lose until after my birthday. So because I'm covering the team all year, and then March is super busy, and the next thing I know, look up and I go, oh, yeah, it's March 24th. So, it's been good. We're going to delay the celebration a little bit. We're going to do something, I think, next weekend. But you went and got me food, brought in some Kerns today. Are we allowed to give Kerns a shout out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for doing that.
I wanted to see if you wanted anything for your birthday, and you, unbelievable choice, great choice, and I was happy to go get it. Had me running a little late, but that I got here on time, so no harm, no foul, I suppose. And we will be eating during the show, which is always fun. You can watch us on the YouTube stream. This is not hyperbole. Every day, with the exception of maybe the weekends, I have gotten a message about the podcast. Sometimes it's like 2 or 3 messages a day, but at least once a day I get a message. Hey, just noticed the podcast hasn't been posted. Hey, I wanted to reach out. It's been a couple weeks now. The podcast hasn't been posted. We are locked out of our podcast. The issue is these people can't hear this because they're not able to hear the show. Podcast is being posted to bigexsportsradio.com. And YouTube uninterrupted. You can watch us on the stream every day. And when I say us, I mean producer Matt and myself, because the camera for Peak is not working. So our podcasting platform not working. Camera on Peak and studio not working. But luckily you can see one producer, Matt Childress. Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Got a nice little hamburger over here with some spicy cheese on it, so I appreciate that, TJ. Thank you a lot.
You asked for the spicy cheese. Now, that's what makes that Kern's burger my favorite burger in town, is that spicy cheese. How are you holding up with it?
It's good. It's actually a little bit more spicy than I thought it would be. I hadn't had a burger from there before, so I'm glad to try it. But I like spicy food. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
Good. You have to like spicy food because it's got a kick to it. It's not like anything that I think is going to make you cry, but you're going to notice it.
I will say that it is a lot better that it's not the driest burger I've ever had, unlike when Corey Price just didn't bring any sauces in for anybody last time.
Yes, I was not going to forget your ketchup.
Thank you.
I was not going to forget your ketchup. So we're eating during the show. You can watch us eat during the show live on the YouTube stream. Mm-hmm. It's a birthday celebration edition of Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. And a lot to talk about on today's show. Mm-hmm. Mark Pope, he did his final Mark Pope's Coaches Show last night. And I was thinking, Peak, when do we hear from him again? Maybe once the roster is finalized, potentially? He may do like a one-offer interview here or there with a select media outlet who's probably only said nice things about him, would be my guess.
Yeah, something
probably
like that.
Probably a BBN Tonight exclusive. Hey, you all, we've got Mark Pope. Of course, we're paid. We only exist because we are part of the University of Kentucky, but exclusive.
Yeah,
So,
probably something like that.
We're probably done hearing from him for a good while.
Probably we'll hear from him. Well, isn't there supposed to be an announcement about some overseas trip that they were going to do? So I'm waiting for that to come out because I'd like to plan my summer to some extent. I don't know if we'll go, depending on where it's at. He said it's a place he's never been before, so that I'm literally looking
I think
up.
he said UK basketball's never been, right?
Is that what it was?
No.
Okay, I thought it was someplace he'd never been. So now I got to look in.
I thought he said UK basketball had never been there, but I could be wrong.
Or going to Iran.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. He's gonna have us playing on the Gaza Strip.
Get ready to learn about a bad.
Yeah, so I'm looking into. I'll start looking to where Kentucky is gone. So Italy is out, and then so we'll look at it. I'll look at that, and I'm hoping there's going to be some announcement soon, and we'll hear from him again probably when they get the roster put together, and they moved the transfer portal stuff back this year because it was around this time that you had the Cam Williams signing or commitment, and then you had the Donovan Dent stuff happen the night of the Tennessee game. So this year, I guess we're going to have to be a little more patient. He did ask for patience on recruiting. He said, I forget the exact quote, but it was like, "Be patient, guys. There's going to be some good recruiting stuff coming up." One thing that Mark Pope has done, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday, he says stuff like that, and as a fan, I get like excited about something, like the Ferrari quote, for example, and then and then this one, like, okay, so who is this? Are we getting Tyron Stokes? Is there somebody? Are there recruits out there that are really good that we don't know about that are going to be randomly committing to Kentucky?
The spicy cheese has made Matt Childress leave studio to go get water.
Is that true?
According to a source.
Did he text us? I didn't see that.
He texted us and said, grab me some water real fast.
That just spreads the spices around, though, doesn't it?
But it helps.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a little bit better. Sorry, just had to have that breaking news. The spicy cheese has officially gotten to producer Matt. He has left the studio.
What did you think about what Mark Pope said I quote tweeted it today when he was going over some of the numbers that he was sharing, comparing the last 4 years of Cal.
We're gonna play that clip.
Okay.
So
it's a long clip.
Yeah, we're gonna play it.
Okay.
We're gonna play it. We're gonna play it a little quicker. But actually, I do want to play it, and I want to I haven't told this to producer Matt just yet. I want to play that clip, but Matt, I'm going to tell you to stop, pause, play. Pause, play. I'm going to have you stop it as we're going along with it.
So you're going to run director.
I'm going to play director. Yes, absolutely. You think you can do that?
I think I can do that.
How you holding up, buddy?
Good. I like I said, it was a little more spicy than I thought it was, so I had to go and step away for a second, grab some water, but I'm good. It was delicious.
Even Scoot's got a little bit of birthday lunch with Stephen Peak. If we all weren't so busy, we could actually maybe go hang out and have a birthday lunch. But when your show is in the middle of the day, that really makes you a little bit busier. Lunchtime hours. Yeah.
It really does. I did send that over to Matt. Did you want to go ahead and
once he gets it pulled up, ready to go? Yeah. What are your birthday plans? We're going to talk. I'm not going to let you get away from birthday conversation.
No, yeah. We're
going to talk plenty of basketball. The Gameday Men's Health text line is going to be popping just like it was yesterday. We're going to talk a ton of Mark Pope. I had some Mark Pope takes. He talked recruiting. I thought that was interesting. We're going to get into the whole thing today. What do you got going on tonight for your birthday?
Well, tonight, not a ton. My wife, Jacqueline, she's got a board meeting until 7. I don't know. We might go out to dinner, but we're going to do some celebrating, like I said, in next weekend. I also noticed I share a birthday with Peyton Manning as well.
That's exciting.
He's got a March 24th birthday, so happy birthday, Peyton. Yeah. Big round of applause for Peyton Manning, Tennessee great.
Unfortunately, does have a bigger forehead than you.
He unfortunately, yes, he does.
So
he does.
Yeah.
Bigger forehead,
not the
bigger
biggest
man.
forehead born on March 24th.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. I'm trying to think of what we had. See, what happens is because I'm so busy with UK basketball the last 4 years, I don't really plan anything because I don't know. I could have been. I was hoping that I would be on my way to Chicago today So, unfortunately, I don't really make a lot of plans.
The Big Apple.
Yeah, that's right. Nick Rouch does that a lot. He calls everything the Windy City. So going to St. Louis.
Yeah, where do
you
think you got that from?
Oh, is that? Did you steal that from you? A lot of people do that. I did. I'm doing that too. I stole one of your lines for a video that I'm gonna put out later.
I'm pretty sure it's just from Dumb and Dumber, and I brought it into the show from Dumb and Dumber. Roush had never seen Dumb and Dumber, which was always just such a travesty. And then, per usual, anything that Roush has that's funny, of course, isn't original to him.
That's really weird.
Somewhere else from somebody else.
Because today is also Tommy Snyder's birthday, who was in Dumb and Dumber 2. Wow. It's all come full circle, TJ.
It really, really has. I'm ready to play that clip whenever you are. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was hoping the Cats would be preparing for Chicago. I didn't anticipate it necessarily, but hope you do go out and have some dinner, at least do a little something. Should be a nice evening, a little warmer than it was yesterday. Woke up at 3 a.m. last night, and the house was 63 degrees, which is cold. Not like the coldest in the world, but pretty chilly, especially when you got a 4- and a 1-year-old. Had forgotten to turn the heat back on. We're in that time of the year where
keep alternating.
It's like, oh no, what's the right way to go about it? Yep. I just had it off. I was like, we're going with Mother Nature's clock. Mm-hmm. Woke up, the house was freezing cold, and luckily by the time everybody woke up, it was kind of back to a normal temperature, or at least a survivable temperature. Mm-hmm. But, that's the type of year it is. But should be a nice day. Hopefully you go out, you celebrate yourself. You certainly deserve it. Here's what Mark Pope had to say when defending himself. I've got plenty of takes on. Stephen Peak does, and we want to hear what you think about it on the Gameday Men's Health text line.
In 72 games.
Take it away, Mark Pope.
Oh, you guys can't hear it?
With a full
roster. No.
I can hear it through one of my headphones.
Well, the only thing is I kind of wanted to play. I wanted to be interactive with
Is there a YouTube version of it?
What about, I guess the only ones are coming from the Twitter ones. Oh. Well, this isn't good. All right, well, hold on. Let me get the Peak tweet pulled up. We won't be interactive with it. Is yours a video? The one that you sent?
Yeah, it's from Matt Jones' Twitter video.
Gotcha. Okay, that was the one that I was hoping would work. Not gonna work.
Is there another way we can get it to you, Matt, that would make it easier to play?
I'm playing it. It's just for some reason certain Twitter videos only play for me, and they don't play over air. I don't know why that happens. So I'm trying to see if there's another version, maybe on YouTube or somewhere that I can find.
Yeah, I can probably. We can.
The official podcast, which I was actually going to clip and send over to you, that would definitely help. But let's just do this one. I won't jump in and interact left and right. We'll play it in its entirety. Let's do 1.25 speed on it. Okay?
Yes.
And let's start it from the beginning. It's going to be about 3 minutes.
In 72 games.
Now we hear it.
Okay, now you can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm playing it from a different source
now. 2 years. And in
all right, well, let's go back to how we initially said it. Be ready to pause it. That's cool, okay?
Against Power 4 teams with a full roster. And there's so many dynamics that go into that. And that is a real thing. That's been a real issue for us. I don't know how to control that. We have, our performance team.
All right, let's pause it right there. I think that's all totally fair for Mark Pope.
I've been saying this for 2 years now.
And I don't know how we control that. What do you want us to do about that? I think that's all fair. What did he say? He say, that's a real thing. It is a real thing. We try, and it's so annoying in this business, in this medium, to have to constantly bring that up. You talk about beating a dead horse. To have to always bring up the injury thing when you do a daily radio show and you do a post-game show. It is so annoying. But you do have to bring it up. You just have to.
Yes.
Because it is a real thing. Kentucky is not playing at full strength. Anything you talk about, there is an asterisk next to this entire season and really the entire Mark Pope tenure at UK.
Yep.
Because do you think he wants players to be injured? Do you think this is some grand conspiracy where it's they can't really fairly judge me if 40% of our starting lineup is out for 2 straight seasons? It sucks. It's just bad luck. So he is right to bring that up, and he is right to say there's not much we can do about it. I don't know what we can do about it. And then he's about to explain, this isn't strains or overwork or Had we just let these
crazy
people,
fluke injuries.
yes, is what he's about to explain. But we're going to continue to pause this and comment as we see fit. So take it away, producer Matt.
When we evaluate it, it's not soft tissue stuff that's holding our guys out of games. It's not stability. It's not strength stuff. It's been random things. Jackson Robinson injury is random. Lamont Butler, one of the healthiest players to ever play basketball, is random.
I don't know if you paused it yourself or
I didn't. It cut out. It cut. No, it's going. It cut out of one of my headphones, and now it's playing just for me.
That makes me think it's like something's not plugged in all the way potentially.
This is what happens when you play certain Twitter clips, because I'm playing the exact same clip Steven sent, but I'm playing it through the website of On3 this time. Like, it's still Matt Jones' tweet. It's just something with Twitter that happens randomly.
Nah, this is good, clean fun, Okay, well, can you do what you did the last time where it started playing and working again all of a sudden?
I don't know if it's going to play over air, because I think it only plays for me.
4 years before we got here.
So we don't even know if it's going over air.
2 years.
Okay, what if I downloaded it and got it to you? We do it in the second segment.
That would work. I can go. Yeah, that would work.
But
we can do that. We can talk a little bit about the injuries. I still had some stuff I wanted to talk about there anyway, and it is something that it is tiring to keep bringing it up, because when you're losing games by 20 points, you're falling behind by 18 to LSU, who's not good. When you spend $22 million, you should have a little bit more depth. And fans don't want to hear excuses that there's an injury. I mean, Iowa State had a major injury, and they're going to play, and they beat Kentucky by 19.
Dominated.
And, after falling behind by 12, they finished the game on a 75-45 run.
Whoa.
And they lost their best player. And who was Kentucky missing on Sunday? Jalen Lowe, which was significant. But JQ also, but I just have a hard time, using that as an excuse, because you knew that he had a torn ACL, and you knew the chances of him playing a whole lot of games was probably pretty slim. But it is something. It is. I've done 2 videos about this. Just the unbelievable luck. 16 injuries in 2 seasons is significant, and when you lose your starting point guard both years to bad shoulder injuries, that is unbelievably bad luck. I mean, you think about that blue-white game and, the expectations for this team and everything going in, and to see Jalen Lowe go down in that and think, there's no way this is happening again. There's no way. And from that point on, the season was kind of doomed. I don't think this team was going to win the title. I still don't know if this was the Ferrari that Mark Pope said it was, even completely healthy. But this team would have finished in the top 3 in the SEC. I really believe that.
Wow.
This team would have been a Sweet 16 team with the ability to get to the Elite 8. I mean, that's not a crazy take. If Jalen Lowe is playing the whole season, and I'm not going to throw JQ in there, but if you had Jalen Lowe the whole year, a healthy Jalen Lowe, this team easily finishes in the top 3. I mean, they should have. And you'll argue that, well, they had JQ and Jalen from the Missouri game. Yeah, you had Jalen was out on the floor.
You never really had a healthy Jalen Lowe all
That's what
season,
I'm saying.
Really. You never really had a fully. Let's stick with your premise that he never has the shoulder thing to begin with. I mean, it's just the Jalen Lowe that they're bringing in. I agree, yeah.
And you look at what that team did against St. John's, and maybe if things are going better, maybe JQ does try to give it. Maybe they try to give it a go again. Maybe I know he took those. What do they call them? PRP shots. I can't say that without thinking of Pleasure Ridge Park, but they were trying some stuff. He was doing the strength test. Maybe he passed the strength test, but it's like, what is Kentucky even playing for right now? Is it worth it? But if you're having a good season, and Arkansas got that 3 seed in the SEC tournament, all Kentucky had to do was win 2 more games, and the Auburn and Georgia games were very winnable.
Yep.
Texas A&M was winnable, and of course Missouri was winnable. So it just sounds. I mean, I can already hear people listening to this and go, Cope harder, all that stuff. But it is. I mean, look at Louisville without Michael Brown. I mean, doesn't Louisville, Matt, have a much better season if Michael Brown plays all year? I mean, is that not obvious?
No, I mean, it's very obvious that we saw the difference in how the team in general plays without him. So
And I'm not comparing Jalen Lowe to Michael Brown Jr. Michael is much better.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Michael Brown is like, what is he better? He's better than John Wall, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, way better than John Wall.
We came to that conclusion many months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Mark Pope, I know he doesn't like talking about that stuff during the regular season. And last year, as I was at the Ole Miss game, and
People forget Ole Miss went to the Sweet 16 line.
they were good. Yeah, they were good. And Kentucky got routed in that game. And I was just sort of casual in my take from it. I remember we were doing the rapid reaction, and the fans in the comments were just roasting me for it because I was saying, I mean, what do you want? I mean, yes, they should have played better. But they don't have a point guard. If Jackson doesn't play out of his mind, they're going to lose. We're running the offense through Travis Perry. With all due respect, like Travis is playing KHSAA ball just a few months ago, and he's not ready to be a starting point guard in this SEC, in an SEC where it ended up with, 7 ranked teams in that SEC, and a record amount of teams made the tournament. As you mentioned, Ole Miss was a Sweet 16 team, had to go through North Carolina to get there. Yeah, this was – I remember after that game, that was the one where Mark Pope was bleeding during the post-game press conference. He put his hand through something during the halftime speech he was giving. And he said, we're not entertaining that. We're not talking about injuries. We're not entertaining that. We have good players. And he was taking the full responsibility for the loss, which I guess you kind of have to do in the season. You can't be like, yeah, these guys suck. These are the leftovers that I have, and my best point guards are injured, and so this is what we're dealing with. You can't say that, right? I was actually happy to hear him finally just say this has been an issue, because he does have to, he kind of has to say it for everyone else to. Kentucky fans needed to hear that, I think. This has been a problem, and it's, again, I don't know if this was a top 5 team minus injuries or not. If this happens again next year and it's another bad season, do you think Kentucky fans are going to forgive another bad season even with injuries? Because I just don't think that people are going to have the patience for it, even if it's not his fault.
Have people forgiven this year?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so no. There's your answer.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter.
I don't even know if I could. I mean, it's just, all right, maybe it's like, sorry, Mark, you got bad luck.
It's the crappy thing of the position that we find ourselves in, and partially Mark Pope's fault, partially just the way the world works and luck's fault with the injuries, but it doesn't matter. And the crappy thing is, Peak, and this is totally true, he could have a great season next year, and I hope that happens. I hope he does have a great season. And then if it's still a first weekend exit, people are going to be calling for his job. The sad reality is, and this is the hard part of the end of the John Calipari era, was the sad reality is all that really matters is what you do in March. Now, there's going to be highs and lows. There's going to be people that what you do in November and December can really impact how your March looks, or if your team even makes it to March. And what I mean by that is it so toxic and is it so gross that the players start to get down on themselves? Oh, they're just kids. They're getting paid $3 million, but feel bad for them because the anonymous account, Johnny Cat 6974, said something nasty on the internet about them. And Johnny Cat 6974 shouldn't say nasty things. He's a loser, maybe even a bot potentially, not even a real human being. But there is some truth to what happens in November and December and January and February matters. It really does matter. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to make any final judgments until this time next year. And ideally, this time next year in 54 weeks, right? Not 52 weeks, but 54 weeks. Because we need to have a season that ends where we can kind of stick our chest out a little bit. It's been entirely too long. And you ain't sticking your chest out losing in the Sweet 16. You're just not when you're Kentucky. You're not sticking your chest out because you played a team close in the Elite Eight when you're Kentucky. Now, granted, I think that's the minimum of where UK basketball should be every year. And if you want to talk about lowering of the standard, or lowering the bar, I'm maybe at the point where it's just like, you know what, the standard for UK, you better get to a Sweet 16 every year. I used to say an Elite 8. Probably a Sweet 16 is more realistic. We should have this week, Peak. We should have this week to preview a game, talk about a game, fans traveling to a different city or debating to travel to a different city, and having one good weekend away for making the Final Four. That should be the program minimum each and every year. And granted, Mark Pope made it last year. That was fine. I still think we undersold how that went down. You lost to your rival, a team you were 2-0 against, in a place that was a home court advantage for you in Indianapolis, and you kind of got punked right off the jump. I didn't really care for the way that season ended last year, and I feel like far too many Kentucky fans, I don't want to say the majority, but far too many Kentucky fans were just, oh, ho-hum, that was fun, right, guys? That was cool. But I will say, to their credit, we thought that was all right, year one, that's the jumping off point. We're taking off from here. This is the base point.
Yep.
Well, cool. Then not all right, but we can live with this if this is where we're jumping off of. Well, as we've learned, not the case necessarily. So we've got to get back to Sweet 16s, and it's not going to matter what he does in the regular season if it's really good, if it's not met with a good March run. And if he's really bad in the regular season next year, not really bad, but similar to what this season was, roller coaster, highs and lows, that's going to make it tougher on himself. That's going to make the fan base pretty toxic, a word that I'm going to use frequently. But if you had a big March run, nobody's going to care. If you have a bad March run, similar to what you've done, yeah, I don't think he's had a good
What
March
about
run.
a dominant regular season, but they lose in the Sweet 16?
Not going to matter.
Really?
Not going to matter.
If they're a 1 seed, but they get upset by a 4?
If it's like on a last-second shot, I think people could kind of be understanding. I don't know. Not everything can be totally black and white. I feel like I'm a pretty big proponent about talking about that.
Yeah.
But if you just got punked in a Sweet 16 game where, let's say, the 4 seed had a top 10 pick, and you looked at that 4 seed and they had a bunch of NBA talent, and you just like, dude, that's what we got to be getting, and that's what you're not getting, then I would still say Kentucky's got to get back to playing for a Final Four. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to win 3 tournament games to play for a Final Four. And, Peak, you're the biggest proponent of 1 seed. Yeah. I'm somebody that's like, 2's not the end of the world.
No,
3's not the end of the world. And I know you strongly disagree with, like, I actually love that debate. I think it's really fun. Because you're going off, like, hardcore stats data, and I'm just saying sometimes you have to throw stats out. A 2 is also really good. A 3 is also really good. Point being, we don't look at a first-round game as something you should sweat out. And I'm sorry for what John Calipari and the last 10 years of Kentucky basketball have done to us, but the first-round game is never one Kentucky should have to sweat out. In the weird, odd years that you do, that's one that you're like, oh, man, that was weird. We had to sweat out a first-round game. It ain't the norm, Peak. And I'm so sorry for everybody that in the 2020s, it has been. And even in the years that they've won, Santa Clara and Providence, those were 2 games that just weren't total snoozers.
We were so nervous last year against Troy.
I guess Troy was. I mean, Troy in the first half was closer than it should have been.
They went on a run. Trent Noah hit a 3, and Amari had a dunk, and it was over.
That should be your normal first.
Yeah.
That should be your normal first round close call. I'm trying to think back in the 2000s.
Princeton, 2011.
Played EKU in 05.
That was a close game.
Was it close? That was closer than it should have been.
Dude, I was freaking out. I was in class during that game. You might have been in. Were you at St. No, you would have been at.
No, it was 8th grade. Yeah, it was 8th grade.
The teachers didn't turn the game on.
They let us watch in 8th grade. I was so happy.
They didn't let us watch. We're in math class. Our teacher was a Louisville fan. He wouldn't turn it on, and so everybody's on their phones getting updates, and it's like, it's close. It's real. I mean, it was like a 5-point game late, and then you also had even as a 1 seed, Florida A&M. It was 60-52 at the half, and they ended up losing to UAB. But yeah, there's been some 2011, of course, with the Brandon Knight game-winning shot. Any other ones? I don't know that there were very many close games in the round of 64.
Villanova in 06. I mean, but that's like an 8-9 game.
Yeah, UAB 07.
Yes. Who did they got blown out by Marquette in a first-round game?
Yeah, it was bad.
That game, I think, was out in Anaheim. That was a good time. Point being, that's one you automatically win. Round of 32. I'm sorry. Kentucky basketball should win that one, even if it's close. Round of 32 games are tricky, pesky, whatever. Watch what Florida just happened. They can get you every now and then. Sweet 16s. Those games are tough, too. By the way, today, or was it yesterday? I think maybe it was yesterday. The 9-year anniversary of De'Aaron Fox.
Today.
Teaching
March
Lonzo
24th.
Ball
It was on my birthday.
a little thing or two about basketball.
That's the only game Kentucky played on my birthday.
No way.
My dad sent it to me, and I was like, "There's no way that's right." He's like, "Yep, that's it."
No way.
I know. He said it's kind of wild.
I'm going to have to look at Big Blue history. They don't give you the break.
He said, yes, hard to believe. Yeah, beat UCLA, De'Aaron Fox, huge game against
that
Ball.
was such an underrated UK tournament game. It's UCLA UK in the Sweet 16. It's not, it's in UCLA at that time as relevant as they have been, I would say, in the 21st century. I know they went to a couple Final Fours in 06, 06, 07, whatever it was. So as relevant as they have been, that Ball era elevated them a little bit. It's a rematch. UCLA went into Rupp Arena that year and defeated De'Aaron Fox. Bam Adebayo. How about that? Second leading scorer in single-game NBA history, Bam Adebayo. Sorry about you, Kobe. Malik Monk. UCLA went into Rupp Arena, kind of punked UK. Who was the big, goofy white guy? Welsh?
Oh,
he was automatic. That dude was robotic at 18 feet. I mean, just robotic. He probably the best 18-foot shooter in the history of the sport, that Welsh fellow was. And Kentucky just totally beat that ass, Stephen Peak. From start to finish, just let them know about it. And De'Aaron Fox had, 39 points, was it?
Is that what it was? Oh, my gosh.
Something silly. Just was in his bag. You would have thought he was the best shooter in college basketball the way that he was stroking that thing.
I'm surprised Kentucky only won that game by 11.
That is shocking. I
agree.
agree.
Did have 39
that is
points. 39, 13 of 20 from the field, 13 of 15 at the line. And, it was 36-33 at halftime. Kentucky scored 50 second-half points. Man.
That was when that team was rocking and rolling.
That's a Final Four team. How in the world that team didn't get a 1 seed?
Well, they were cheated in an NCAA tournament game. In just my opinion, they were, but probably should have been a 1 seed. And
Kentucky and North Carolina should have been on opposite sides of the bracket, let alone, in the same region. That's ridiculous.
And they put John Calipari back in Memphis.
That was one of the worst draws that Kentucky's had, because that team, if they weren't a 1 seed, fine, but they should not have been paired with North Carolina.
I do feel like that was a stretch of when Kentucky was just getting totally hosed. And I will say this.
That was like 3 years in a row.
After 19, starting at, I think, 18, I don't think they got a good draw. The bracket opened up for them, but I think they got a good draw.
They got screwed.
After 18, I think Kentucky's had really solid NCAA tournament draws. Nearly a decade of good tournament draws. But from 2010 to 2018, I think Kentucky did regularly get pretty hosed. Not every year, but more years than not. And sure enough, that luck has totally flipped. And what have we done? What have we done with it?
Yeah,
we have done nothing, Stephen Peak. It's Peak's birthday. We got the birthday boy in studio. He is Matt Childers. I'm TJ Walker. We're going to take a commercial break. We will play this Mark Pope audio, comment on it, and read your text. Text line has just been incredible the last
North Carolina getting a new coach.
We cannot thank you all enough. What? Why are you just dropping that on us?
They said an announcement will be made later today.
What? Whoa. We'll talk about that. Here we go. Matt's playing something funny. Let's listen to it.
Happy birthday.
Stephen Peake's birthday. Kentucky Roll Call, Big X Sports Radio. I'm TJ Walker. Across the cement wall is one producer, Matt Childress. March 24th, also my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to the world's best gammy and mom. And I don't think you're a gammy or a mom, Stephen Peake, but someday
I can be a gammy.
Someday you could be a gammy. I feel like when I was a kid, it was just grandma and grandpa. Now everybody has a name.
Nana and Pawpaw.
Okay.
And then I had a Mama and Pawpaw.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So maybe you started it.
I did.
Yeah, maybe you started it. You hear people, they're like, yeah, call me Peep Pop or Pop Pop or Gippy or Mama Mimi, and you'll go by whatever you go by, I suppose. We want to hear from you on the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Maybe you're realizing that you're washed up. Maybe you're realizing you can't get the job done anymore. Maybe you're realizing you just don't have the chops. Gameday Men's Health is here to help you if that is hitting home for you. Gameday Men's Health, they are redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Maybe you're thinking, I've been working hard for about 26 years, but I've only got one men's basketball national championship. I just don't have it anymore. Not everybody can just fall into an executive in residence of the UK Sports and Workforce Initiative. Maybe you need to get a pep in your step. Maybe you need to lose some weight. Maybe you need some testosterone. Maybe you need to unbutton that top button. Peptides, sexual performance therapy. Oh, hell yeah. You can visit GameDayMensHealth.com. They're redefining a new era in men's wellness. Maybe an athletic department is redefining a new era in athletics. Regardless, you need Gameday Men's Health. It doesn't matter if you're 30 years old or if you're 62 years old and you're just ready for something new in your life. GameDayMensHealth.com. Text on into the show, 502-414-1450. All right, Stephen Peake and producer Matt. Matt, thoughts on the burger? Everything go well?
Yeah, it was great. Loved it.
Okay. You're going to have to text me around later this evening and tell me if you're still feeling that way, okay?
All right, when I pass it, I'll let you know.
Whoa, don't be gross, buddy. I'm just letting you know how it was going to sit in your stomach.
Oh, I mean, I'm not just going to let it stay in there.
Well, I don't know if you have a choice in the matter that one way or another either. The chili go okay, Mr. Peake?
Oh, it was fantastic. Always good. I'll always love some Kern's chili. Thank you very much.
What's your least favorite birthday?
My least favorite birthday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of the 57 you've had.
Yes.
Hey. He's not Corey Price. He's not Corey Price.
So it actually wasn't the birthday thing, but it was my I guess girlfriend at the time, Jacqueline. She's now my wife.
UK's played 6 days on your birthday. They're 5-1.
Man, that's awesome. That's
the first year back in 45. So
I remember
we were
well.
just finishing up the war. We beat Tough 66-56. Beautiful spring day, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So Cats have an incredible winning percentage on your birthday.
How many since 1990?
How many? Well, don't. Yes. Okay. Take it easy, buddy. Don't have that answer.
Okay. No, it was. She planned this great day. We did disc golf. We went to a bookstore. She bought me. I like to read, so she bought me. Let me just pick out 6 books, and we had a good time in there. We went out to eat. Did Putt Shack. It was great. Unfortunately, there was this dark cloud over the whole thing because Kentucky had just lost to Oakland. So I was really trying to enjoy it and have a good time, but I was just thinking about that the entire day because it was only a couple days removed from it. I think that game happened. That game happened on a Thursday, or was it a Friday? And we celebrated my birthday on that Saturday or Sunday. And so it's just we're watching the other games, and I can't believe that this is where it's at. So it's still a great day. So but it was just that was.
If that's your worst birthday, I think you've
had
good
birthdays. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Most of them have been pretty good. We had one of my best was a birthday party in 1998. It wasn't my birthday, but it was my birthday party. You might remember this one. Kentucky got down 17 points to Duke, and then they stormed back, the comeback Cats, and beat the Blue Devils.
That's your favorite. That's your favorite
84.
birthday.
That's one of my. That's the top. That's in the top 5 at least. Yeah, that one was good. I went outside. That was my 8th birthday, So I went outside. We had the game on the radio, and I was like, in my head, I was like making shots,
Sure,
making the comeback
you were
happen.
doing it.
And then I go inside, and Cameron Mills hits the 3. Scott Padgett hits that 3.
Man,
86. It was 86-84, I think, the final.
Where did Scott Padgett go to high school?
St. Xavier. I can't believe you didn't know that.
Has UK ever had a good Trinity basketball player?
I don't think so.
Have they had a Trinity basketball player?
I don't think so either. Can they get another St. X player? Is it possible? How good is that kid going to be?
Man, who would have thought we'd say that sentence? Yeah, we'll take a Jalen Johnson. That's for sure. That's St. X team. Again, we don't need to get in the high school conversation, but I was the same kid in the driveway replicating the shots, especially in this time of year in March. It was always the best. You remember anything bad happening on your birthday, producer Matt?
Not that I can think of. At least like not off the top of my head.
I had the Japanese tsunami on my birthday.
Oh, gosh.
Whoa.
Yeah, the Japanese tsunami.
I hate that for you personally.
Nothing else though. Certainly not the we were on the way to the SEC tournament, as a matter of fact, when we were reading the coverage of the Japanese tsunami.
I know
What year was that again?
That was 2011 when the Cats beat Florida.
Yeah.
And
They kind of
just
rolled
had
through that whole thing.
A flood of messages from the Japanese community feeling
Here
bad
we
for
go.
you.
Boy, you really will go for it, producer Matt, and I can respect the hell out of it. What would you say to the thousands that lost their life about that joke?
I'm just saying that, maybe it wasn't the worst birthday for you.
That's a good point. I mean, that's fair perspective. I cannot even make a joke on something like that. All right. Wow. So here we go. 502-414-1450, the Game Day Men's Health text line. Mark Pope talking about it's not that bad when you actually think about it, folks.
Lamont Butler, one of the healthiest players to ever play
It's
basketball.
not that bad
And
when you
Philman
actually
Lowe,
think about it, folks.
Can you guys still not hear it?
No.
I'm playing the one Steven emailed me.
There's so much.
So it must be the video file itself.
Misfortune. With that said, this is what's going to shock you.
You know?
If you take
You'd
the
wonder if
numbers
it's even worth
before we
it. Could
got
Mark
here,
Pope be saying anything
compare 'em
that
with
would
the
go
two
to
since we've
this
been here.
length of trouble that
actually
we're
have a
having with the
higher
technology?
winning percentage the
Okay,
last 2
let me
years
just
than we
pull
did
it up
before
and we'll just play it and then we'll
Barely, but
react
higher
to
winning
it.
percentage.
And that will be
This
that.
is also part of that. That's with all these injuries.
I know what the
last 2
issue is.
years,
I think
we
it's
played
coming
the
out of only
hardest
one.
strength of schedule
So whenever they've
in
recorded
junior
it, they only have one
the
side of
history
audio,
Kentucky
and that's why
basketball.
you're only hearing it from one side.
You know, the crappy thing is it's working perfectly fine on the YouTube stream, so if we just wanted to do it on delay.
Well, again,
that doesn't even make sense.
I can just add this effect to it and get the audio to Matt in a matter of minutes.
You think you can do that?
I can do it. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, we'll get it.
You would think that this is just groundbreaking, incredible audio that we're about to play. No, it's pretty much.
It's just Mark Pope saying beautiful for like 4.5 minutes.
You're beautiful.
Okay, now this should work. But I want people to be able to hear it because and for us to react to it because I do think that these particular 4 minutes are actually
No, and this texts are so right on the Game Day Men's Health text line. Most people who listen to the show have already heard or read the quotes, fellas. It's all good. I know, and you're so right. I mean, you couldn't be more right. The only thing is, we want to hear it and then comment on it. And it'd just be easier to do it than instead of just being like, he said this, and that's what I think about this. He said that, and that's what I think about it. So there is a rhyme or reason. We're never even really ones to rely on technology for our show, for anybody that's listened to Roll Call for more than a day or two. But you know what? That's probably why we don't. This is probably why we don't, for what it's worth.
I'm just imagining Pete just adding this suspenseful music sound effect in the background. So
Oh,
it's just Mark
you're right. That's
talking
what I
over
should have
it.
done instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noise effects are always a good time. Producer Matt, sometimes you'll do it. You'll put a noise effect here and there, but I can always tell you're a little nervous to do it, just for is it worth it or not, or is the payoff going to be worth it?
Is Matt nervous?
Keep shooting your shot, buddy.
Does Matt ever get nervous?
Didn't he played a sound effect one time in the background of something that was pretty funny?
He does it a lot.
Not as much as I would like. Some would
It
say.
depends on the situation, and it depends on if
You
I
made
can pull it
a
up fast
Japanese
enough.
tsunami joke, so I'm not sure if the situation.
I'm not saying the situation would hurt anybody. I'm just saying that it depends
Unlike
on if I can
Japanese
get,
tsunami?
with this 1965 computer, if I can pull it up fast enough in time for it to even hit the same.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. You're right.
So, what do you think while he gets that loaded up? Hubert Davis. If you're a North Carolina fan, would you want them to fire Hubert Davis?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Hubert Davis is
several
a better version of Mark Stoops for UNC. He's there. You can appreciate some things that he's done. Does anybody ever really think that dude's just going to be racking in the national championships And not that anybody would
He's
think national
coached one.
championships and Mark Stoops, but did you ever think Mark Stoops was going to get it back at Kentucky in the nil era? No. Did you ever think Hubert Davis was going to start winning large? Hubert Davis kind of worries me about Mark Pope at UK.
Well, okay.
Were you worried about UNC basketball?
What do you mean?
Like, when you think about the future of college basketball, the next 3 to 5 years, the next 2 to 4 years, and you think about the big players, did UNC ever cross your mind like, we got to worry about UNC?
I mean, it's as far as, like,
were they nationally relevant to you?
Oh, I mean, they were a couple years. They were one seed 2 years ago.
Caleb Wilson from us, so I'm not saying that they didn't have a punch.
Yeah.
They beat us at Rupp Arena last year, so I'm not saying that they're better than Kentucky. But, like, when I think about
that was a disappointing loss, yes.
Oh, terrible loss. And if you have Mo, you win that game.
Right,
When I think about the hurdles you have to clear for Kentucky to get back to where we want to be, UNC wasn't on the registry.
No, only because of Caleb Wilson. I thought it was. So
fair enough.
2024, they were a 1 seed. I forgot who they lost to. Was it Alabama? Might have been Alabama. That might have been when Bama went to the Final Four. And in 2022, they went to a national championship game, had a huge lead in that game. What was it, like 15?
Also got it up whenever you guys
some points. So,
Team I.
Yeah. So
Gameday Mens Health.
So yeah,
talking about Hubert Davis.
Seth Davis had a good tweet a couple hours ago when he said, like, he said, my understanding is the administration asked Hubert if he wants to continue.
Wait, I was going to say, first off, you say Seth Davis had a good tweet?
Well, he had an interesting
tweet. Are we
going
to have to get on you about subjective adjectives again?
Yes. It was a very good tweet.
It was great?
Not a great tweet. Very good. Very interesting tweet. He said to let it go. First of all, I like that that they're asking Hubert Davis, do you want to keep your job? He's like, let me think about it.
So listen, you can stay here if you want.
Yeah.
You can stay here if you want to even be here. And he leans up against the wall and a hole falls into it. He's like, do you even want to be here?
And he said, emphatically, yes, I want to be here. And Seth opined, to let it go on for this long with no decision is not fair to anyone. At this point, it would be very, very difficult to bring him back. He would enter next season under a huge cloud. Usually, the best strategy in this situation is to rip the Band-Aid off and make a decision one way or the other. To let it linger for this long is unnecessary and I think he means to say unhealthy. Here's hoping we get a decision on this one way or the other very soon. That was 2 hours ago on March 24th, 2026.
So UNC just doesn't have the balls to fire him, so they're like, hey,
could you just please go away?
Don't you not want to be here? Like, we kind of stink. Like, it's not really all that good. Then you were wanting to get into writing some short novels, weren't you? Yeah. And maybe seeing Eastern Europe, Hubert Davis? Like, this would be probably the time to do that. That's insane.
It sounds like those moments where, like, you kind of want it out of your social plans, and then your friend reaches out to you. It's like, well, I mean, if you want to, then, like, maybe we can, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I had a buddy who would always make up. He would call them BDPs, and I know this is like lunchtime radio, but BDP stands for backdoor problems. You can understand what backdoor problems would be. Yeah. Producer Matt, we already kind of alluded with it with you. And what he would always say is, it's not a lie because with my diet, it's actually true like 98% of the time.
Okay.
So like he would actually play that card like, hey guys, I'm not going to make it out tonight. Like I can't get off the toilet. And what he would tell himself to make himself feel better is like it's not actually a lie. Like it's total. There's actually truth to it. So you got to do what you got to do, I suppose. UNC, you got to just move on from him.
You got to just get off the toilet sometimes.
Got to just move on from him. I would. If I was a UNC fan, I'd be thrilled to get rid of him. Nobody's scared of UNC with Hubert Davis. Nobody's worried. And they've gotten talent. That's the scary part. They've gotten talent.
Yeah.
You can't say, like, well, hold on, he's got to start getting good recruits. You had Caleb Wilson, and some bad luck with Caleb Wilson, but you weren't going to go to a national championship game there. And you did go to a national championship game in your first year, blew that huge lead. Isn't that the crazy thing of sports? Mm-hmm. If he wins that game, I don't know. I guess they could Kevin Ollie him and eventually move on from him.
Sure, yeah.
But he's probably there 7 or 8 years, I
Were
would
they
think.
ranked number 1 in the preseason going into the next year?
I believe that's accurate.
And they didn't make the tournament.
No, they went to the NIT.
But he did get a 1 seed the year after that.
He's won 2 tournament games since then. That's it.
Pretty wild.
He's won 2 tournament games since 22.
Right, they lost in the Sweet 16.
UNC basketball has won 2 tournament games since the year 2022. Yes, you move on from him. UNC, 2 tournament games. That's 23, that's 24, that's 25, that's 26. That is 4 NCAA tournaments. I just can't, like, we don't have forever, everybody. Like, the sweet release of death is coming for us all. So, what, like, you're UNC, we're UK, you just can't go 4, 5, 10 years without actually having a punch.
4 tournament wins, I think.
In that same span?
Since 2022 for Kentucky.
Yeah. Well,
1 in 23, 0 in 24.
2 last year, 1 this year.
Yeah.
So the 4. That's not, woo, what are we doing here? And the Mark Pope audio, which now we're up against it with hour 2. So let's read some text and then we'll just keep teasing this Pope audio and never play it. Wouldn't that be a good bit?
I would love that.
Be hilarious.
That'd be
about 1
some
minute.
good radio.
Yeah, definitely nothing bad has ever happened to TJ's birthday. On the contrary, my spring break got extended 2 additional weeks for some reason. That was probably on the 10th or the 12th that they were expanding spring breaks. Nothing bad. Well, actually, that'd be a great thing, getting a spring break expanded. So we will take credit for a spring break expansion on March 11th. Nothing bad's ever happened. Another texter on the Gameday Men's Health text line says, for the love of Stephen Peake, just read the quotes. That's from Mook. We refuse to at this point. Keep in mind, Iowa State lost their best player a game prior to beating UK like a redheaded stepchild, so spare me the injury talk. You had months to figure out a plan, and Pope is supposed to be the smartest college coach and couldn't figure out a...
I think we ain't doing yet.
You personally.
I think we ain't doing yet.
With Walker and Peak.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. I need everybody to do me a favor and head on over to BigXSportsRadio.com. BigXSportsRadio.com. You can listen to the show there every day, noon to 2, or any of the great local programming on Big X Sports Radio, sometimes with Scoot, 7 to 8 on Big X. Just the Cats with Michael Bennett, 8 to 10. Hoosier Report, Matt Dennison, 11 to noon. KRC, noon to 2. Running with Roman, 2 to 2:30, sometimes with Matt Childress. Matt, enjoyed listening to you yesterday. And then the Mike Rutherford Show, 2:30 to 5:30, and then sometimes something else at 5:30 to finish your day. Is it usually, the Ticket Punchers?
Yeah, they do Ticket Punchers every day.
At 5:30?
Yeah, 5:30 to 6.
Okay. And then Dalton Pitts has a show on Mondays.
Yes.
Today's not a Monday, though.
It is not a Monday. That was yesterday.
That is correct. So, BigXSportsRadio.com. Head on over there, not just for the live listening, but for the 2026 Big X Sports Radio golf cart. We love that thing. It is the best deal in town. You can play Park Mammoth, Old Capitol, Elk Run, Valley View, Wooded View, Christmas Lake in Santa Claus, Indiana. The card's valued at over $350, but you can purchase it today for $149. Now, maybe, just maybe, you've been given this golden parachute of a job after 25 years on the job, and you're going to be getting paid $1 million a year to sit on the front porch and eat hay. At that point, you're probably not worried about saving $200 a year. However, if you're just a blue-collar guy like myself, TJ Walker, Stephen Peak, people who work, and we value savings, we value good deals, we need it for our wallets. This Big X Sports Radio golf cart is the best deal in town. BigXSportsRadio.com. Again, if you are making $950,000 a year to sit on the front porch and eat hay, you can just go play at the regular rates at all these courses. But if you need the savings, we cannot say enough good things about Park Mammoth. That is an incredible course, truly one of the nicest in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Old Capitol, Elk Run, Valley View, Wooded View, Christmas Lake in Santa Claus, Indiana. Again, BigXSportsRadio.com to get it today. 812-725-1457. That is 812-725-1457. We will sell out of these Big X Sports Radio golf cards. They will sell out. Now, it may not be for another month or two, but go ahead and lock yours in today. Get one for a brother, a sister. This is how you help the radio show, by supporting our sponsors, by gobbling up these Big X Sports Radio golf cards. So shut us up, buy them up, and we can move on with our lives. Here's Mark Pope's audio on his coach's show yesterday. Goodness gracious, I can't take this not working again.
Players to ever play basketball is random. Jalen Lowe, competing
right?
in every game.
Yes. Okay.
Is there's so much random to it. We just have had some misfortune. With that said, this is what's going to shock you. If you take the 4 years before we got here and compare them to the 2 years since we've been here, we actually have a higher winning percentage in the last two than we did in the 4 preceding.
All right, stop it right there. Stop it right there. All right, this is why I wanted to do this, and this is why I think this is somewhat worthwhile. I will actually back Mark Pope up here briefly before I bring him down like the Roman Empire.
Ooh, you're going to bring him down like the Roman Empire?
It was a terrible example. Roman Empire was a slow decline.
It really was,
totally came over.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to go any natural disaster.
No one really
other terrible tragedies.
Right.
So, kind of just wanted to punt on it, bailed on it pretty quickly. So we'll move on past that. I like that he's defending himself. I wish he'd do more of this. I wish he'd do more of it throughout the season. I wish he'd do more of it always. If you won't defend yourself, if you won't back yourself, nobody's going to back you. If you won't stick up for yourself, nobody's going to stick up for you. If you just sit around hoping that other people are going to do it, you're going to be left disappointed. He needs to punch back every so often. It's probably I don't want to say fans' biggest criticism, get back to an Elite Eight, right? Make it to Saturday of the SEC tournament. We don't ask for too much as Kentucky fans. But people probably say he's too passive. They wonder if he's got that, if he's fiery enough. Is he mean enough? And I think that stuff can get overblown, right? If you're winning, cool. Nobody's going to care if you're Mr. Nice Guy. But when you're not winning, people are going to say, well, is Mr. Nice Guy too much? I like hearing him actually defend his record. Now, do we want to keep playing before I crush it, or should I just go in on it now? I'll go in on it now, and then I'll probably let it.
Because I have some takes from that.
Oh, go ahead. No, you step in.
He's talking about, that they have played way more ranked. The SEC is tougher. It doesn't
significantly.
It doesn't mean that it's okay that Kentucky finished 9th, and I know they tied for 6th, and they were maybe the Auburn call away from finishing in 4th. But Florida went 16-2 this year. It's not like you have to take a bunch of losses. I don't know what the record was for the team that won the SEC last year. Maybe it was 14-4, something like that. But I was going through this morning. I went through 2010 through 2024, Calipari's years at Kentucky. And you notice the trend here. Playing against ranked teams. I went by the end of the season rankings. Kentucky, for the first 7 years, they faced 11 ranked SEC teams. Or they were up against 11 ranked teams in the SEC. Mark Pope has been up against 12 in his first 2 years. So first 8 years, it was 11. Mark Pope's first 2 has been 12. Just a significantly different SEC.
Pretty wild. I mean, I think that speaks a lot more to how bad and terrible the SEC was in basketball for such a long period of time. However, that is not a nothing stat. Similar to, like Mark Pope saying, like, hey, the injury stuff, I have to bring it up. I just have to. You have to bring this stuff up. It's not apples and oranges. That's why I always get, anytime, and I've seen some people that I respect the hell out of, anytime I see somebody bring up this coach's first 2 years at this school versus this coach's first 2 years at that school, and if you do it somewhat like relevant in the nil era, okay, I can at least bite. I can entertain it. I'll sniff what you got going on. But if you go back to like Rupp, or you go back to a coach in the 70s or 80s or even the early 90s, peak, I feel like I've wasted so much time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so the other thing is that Wildcat's Tongue responded to the tweet I put out, and he had made a good point. Calipari from 2010 to 2017 was 112-23 versus unranked teams, 83% winning percentage. He was 18-7 versus ranked teams, 72%. Pope, these first 2 years, 13-8 versus unranked teams, that's 62%. 10-11 versus ranked teams, 47%. So just looking at those comparisons, oh, wow, Cal's killing them. I did want to follow up with, Pope's worst unranked SEC loss was to Missouri, who was 53rd in KenPom at the end of the season. Whereas Calipari lost to several SEC teams who were in the 100s in KenPom. For instance, he lost to 118th South Carolina in 2014.
We don't want to get too lost in the weeds, though, with stats and numbers.
I understand, but the 118th team this year, was North Dakota State. If Mark Pope had lost to North Dakota State.
Yeah, but what's worse, losing to North Dakota State or 40 to Gonzaga? Like, which one hurts the program?
I'm not completely defending Mark Pope here. I'm not.
No, I know what you're saying, but that's why when you get into the weeds of this loss isn't as bad as that loss.
Yeah, I guess the overall point is
losing.
There is some nuance to this. We all know Mark Pope is going to get a third year. We knew that.
Yes.
I accept it. Like, he would have had to have, had a losing record this year to not get a third season.
Or Scandal City, USA.
So it's not. I think the thing that is hurting him the most isn't necessarily right now the losses. Because we can make excuses for injuries and the SEC is tougher and all that. To me, the thing that I can't defend is the lack of recruiting success.
Okay.
And I want to hear what else he has to say.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to make one more point on this. He just finished up saying how the last 2 years have actually been better than the previous 4 years. I like that he's standing up for himself.
Sure.
This is actually taking a shot at Cal. It's not like a personal shot at Cal, but he's saying, I'm doing a better job than what had been going on. And the reason why at Peak, I like Pope personally. Pope, this is misleading. I like you defending yourselves, but this is misleading. If you took so you've been the coach of 2 years. If you would have said, all right, the winning percentage, the 2 years that I've been here versus the last 2 years before I got here, it wouldn't be as good, Pope. It wouldn't be as good. Cal had a better 2 years than his final 2 years was better than your 2 years. If you would have said the 3 years, hey, the 2 years I've been here, we have a better winning percentage than the 3 years before I got here, it wouldn't be true. It wouldn't be true. Hey, Peak, if you would have said the 5 years before Mark Pope got here, the 5 years, it wouldn't be true.
Yeah, you added the
6 years, the 7 years, the 8 years. The only way that Mark Pope could make that stat be true,
right.
It's not with 2 years, it's not with 3 years, and it's not with 5 years, but it's only with that 4-year mark where it is true that Kentucky has a better winning percentage in a 2-year span than the previous 4. That's just kind of being sneaky, dude. That's just being a little tricky. It's being a little sneaky and it's being a little tricky. I like that you're defending yourself. And while factually that is true, you're trying to paint a picture that things are a lot better now, or things are at least minimally better now than they had been.
Right.
And it's just not factually true. The unfortunate error for all of Kentucky fans is we did think it was going to be better. It's the same at best.
Yeah.
And the difference is maybe the day-to-day consistency is there, which this team was as least consistent as any as I can remember in the UK era. But you beat good teams. You didn't lose it. There were good moments with this season, as frustrating as the season as it was. At the end of the Calipari era, you had top-end talent that you hoped was just going to click, and it didn't, unfortunately. We didn't know that, but we found out.
It kind of did. They won 7 of their last 8, then they just lost their last 2. They didn't. They lost only 2.
But at the end of the day, we wanted this elevated. We didn't want more of the same.
Exactly. Yeah, you're talking about being marginally better than the 4 years that got Calipari to step down as the head coach.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to keep playing it, or anything you want to add to it?
No, that's
And producer Matt, if there's anything if you hear something that really ticks you off, or if I say something stupid, you feel free to correct me on it, please.
Oh, don't worry, I will.
Okay. All right, let's keep playing it.
Barely, but a higher winning percentage. This is also part of that. That's with all these injuries. In the last 2 years, we've played the hardest strength of schedule in 2-year period in the history of Kentucky basketball. So not only did we win at a slightly higher rate than the previous 4 years, but we played a schedule that was rated 13.55 average in the last 2 years compared to the 4 years previous at an 8.76. That's that's in the realm of almost 70% more difficult schedule. And so in those ways, listen, I'm not talking about meeting the standard of where we're trying to get. Clearly we did not do that, but we are making progress.
All right, pause. So very happy he added that caveat. Thank goodness you added that, because at the end of the day, Pope, I thought you understood the assignment.
Yeah.
Are there little mini banners somewhere in the Rupp Arena rafters that I can't see with my naked eye that are, well, we played a tough schedule, so it's actually not so bad banner. And, the last 2 years were actually really tough schedule banners. I thought you understood the assignment. And, yes, he cleared it up. So at the end of the day, you can't crush the guy this much. He literally said, I know that's not where we're at. But then don't harp on it, dude. Yes, the schedule's tougher. Nil has made the conference better. We knew that was going to happen. And you're not up to the challenge. You're just not. Well, but the last 2 years versus the previous 4, we debunked that. That's a faulty and a sneaky and a bit of a disingenuous stat. While factually true, you pick 4 years because 3 doesn't work for you, and 2 doesn't work for you, and 5 doesn't work for you. So you pick the number that did work for you, and we're not going to get behind it. It's Kentucky basketball. The schedule's tougher. Deal with it, or we will find somebody that will. And when I say we, obviously I don't mean that because I don't trust the leadership whatsoever. I feel like it's just a ghost ship right now in Lexington. I don't know where it's going to go, don't know what's going on, but it's just not good enough right now, and I don't like him whining about how tough the schedule is, Peak. That doesn't do it for me. It doesn't make me feel better about the guy in charge. That, the schedule's so much tougher, and we're marginally better. Aha!
Yeah, it doesn't. Like I said, I'm more concerned about how does this get fixed for next year. Like, you're going to play a tough schedule again next year. The SEC is not going to get much worse. So, like, is that going to be
whining?
Yeah. Right? But I get what he's doing. Like, he's trying to spell it out for people that this isn't the same thing that they saw the first few years at Cal. But look, I mean, like Calipari, like some texter put in, I was comparing some of his losses. He went, with 4 or 5 years to a Final Four, even when he was having losses to the 118th best team in Ken Palm, he was still going to the national championship with that team. So, I do like that he's kind of spelling this stuff out for us a little bit and explaining it, but people don't care. Like, you got to win. Like, Florida went 16-2 in this very tough SEC. Is there a reason that we can't do that? Is there a reason that we had 8 losses? We've had 16 SEC losses. Yeah, injuries is a problem, but I also think, like, you shouldn't. The amount of times we're getting blown out. Like I was saying before we got in here, talking to Scoots, Kentucky's margin of defeat in postseason play under Mark Pope is 17.5 points. 29 to Alabama, 13 to Tennessee, 8 to Florida, and that was because you had a furious comeback, and then 19 to Iowa State. So, like, you shouldn't, even with the injuries, those kinds of losses shouldn't happen. You brought up Gonzaga. That shouldn't happen. Santa Clara lost to Gonzaga 3 times, and not all 3 of their losses did not add up to 35 points. So, yes, I hear him on that, but we got to get we can't be marginally better next year. It's got to be considerably better. I mean, we got to get 14 SEC wins. Should not be like something that can't be like, well, it's just impossible that we could pull that off. You got to get back to being dominant again. And, like I've said, Mark Pope's a good enough coach that he can coach up a decent team to pull off some upsets and keep his job. I got to see it be dominant. I don't think like getting like a 6 seed next year is not going to satisfy me or the rest of Big Blue Nation.
I feel like a lot. Just listening to it, like, this is the first time I've heard this audio. I agree with you guys that I like that he's defending himself, because it feels like he really hasn't done that all season. He's just kind of done the coach speak thing. But it sounds like he's just building upon like a kind of excuse making in a way. Like, he is bringing these statistics that some of them are true, some of them are marginally true, this and that. But it comes down to, like, what's Kevin's quote from The Office? He said sometimes, when many words too much, few words do trick, or whatever. Like,
yes. Why say many words and few words? Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like in this situation, Mark Pope could really just come out and say something like, guys, this season was unacceptable for me. Like, I know for Kentucky fans out there, it was also extremely frustrating. If you think that I wasn't frustrated, then, we're on the wrong page here. This was unacceptable. He doesn't. I know it sounds good when he brings out these things and he reassures himself and defends himself, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like you guys have already said, it just doesn't matter to hear this stuff. You already know the statistics. You already know that it's unacceptable. So, like, just come out here and be like, look, we're hitting the recruiting trail big. We're hitting the portal already big. I got some names that I'm not going to release, but, we're talking to some people. We're doing this. We're doing that. It just seems like it's like almost too much defending himself.
Well, I'm all right with some defense, but I also do want a little more accountability. So I think that was a great point. I would like, and he did say it's not to the standard, so maybe that's his way of doing it. But there must be something that agents tell their clients, like, never say that it's your fault. Never say that you're to blame. Because you just don't see that from coaching. And maybe it's an ego thing. I don't know. But I agree to, well, not that you're saying this, but I think it's your sentiment, Producer Matt. I would like him to come out and just say, I need to be better, and I'm going to be better. These first 2 years, injuries, for the reasons that I've stated, it hasn't been up to where it has been. But who cares? We all just want to be able to celebrate big wins and get back to Final Fours. And we're not there yet after year 2. So I promised the fan base I'm going to continue to do everything that I can to make sure we get there. And rest assured, I'm working harder than anybody you'd imagine to get those things done. And I don't know. I don't want to be the guy that says, read this script and say everything that I want you to say to check all the boxes of my emotional fan needs. But he's got to walk in a tight line, isn't he, producer Matt? He doesn't want to take like full accountability or blame for it, but he has at least acknowledged that it's just not where it needs to be also.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was trying to say, is that it'd be different if this was during the season when all these questions were arising, but the season's over. There's nothing really to speak on anymore. We've all seen it happen. You should be in the mode where, like, guys, it's unacceptable. We're moving on. We're moving past it. It's over. Look, I'm going to return this around. We're going to make it, we're going to make a huge leap. It should be almost uplifting. You know what I mean? Like, I get that the emotions are down because you underachieved and you're disappointed.
That's why I liked Yelovich's quote yesterday, being like, "Hey, this university is going to get back to its name," or whatever he said, to its full name, I think was his quote. Like, yeah, have us feeling something a little bit more like, yes, not where it should be, it will be. He's not doing that either.
That's a good point. Like you mentioned, Yelovich saying things like that, really uplifting, and then your head coach comes out and is just defending why we're losing.
It's actually a little bit better than the 4 years that got the other dude fired. That's why he's gone. The fact that it's just minimally better over those 4 years is not good enough. That's why he's out.
Yeah, he wasn't fired. But yes.
Well, sure. But we all know what was up. Let's keep playing it.
In the 4 years before we got here, we won one game in Nashville.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, we've won 3 games in Nashville.
Well,
and clearly
you haven't made it Saturday. You haven't made it Saturday. You haven't made it Saturday.
The only reason you have 2 wins this year is because you finished in 9th.
You got to play the 16 seed. When has UK ever played the 16
that
seed
was the first time
in the history of the SEC tournament? So, again, Pope, I get what you're saying, but, dude, it is not good enough. So please don't try to spin it as it being anything but underachieving. And when you defend it a little bit, it comes off as you saying, like, I already said it's not the standard, but, dude, it's not the standard. You haven't been to a Saturday in the SEC tournament, so don't mention Nashville. Don't even mention Nashville.
If I put that on Twitter, in defending Mark Pope, I can't even imagine, like, the responses. Yeah, nobody is buying that one.
Well, we've won 3. Dude, Kentucky fans have the expectation that you win 3 SEC tournament games in a season. Well, yep, that means an SEC title. Yeah, that's what we mean. That's the expectation. Anything less than an SEC tournament title is underwhelming for UK fans. Doesn't mean we cry ourselves to sleep. Doesn't mean you're going to get fired if you lose in the SEC tournament game.
Weekend in Nashville.
You're talking about 3 games? Dude, that should be a season. John Calipari had 3 SEC tournament wins in year number 1 at UK because that's what you should do. That's the way that it should go. Keep it going, Matt.
Is good, but in the last 2 years, we lost to the number 5 and the number 6 team in the country.
Great lossing.
To be put out of
all
the
best lossing.
Was
elite lossing.
37 points, by the way.
We lost
to
number 9, number 35, number 67, and number 81 to be knocked out of the SEC
Manipulative
tournament.
Mark.
In the last 2 years, we've won 3 games in the NCAA tournament. In the previous 4 years, we won 1 game total in the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
That doesn't tell the whole story, but for the people that love Kentucky, that just want to know that we're making progress, those are real, hard, solid numbers that may be surprising. Go look them up. The winning percentage is higher. The NCAA tournament success is higher. The strength of schedule is ridiculously more difficult, and all of that done in the context of having one of the most unfortunate health trends in the history of Kentucky basketball. And so in those senses, like, we haven't met our goals clearly, but we are making progress. And that part's exciting. And I really bring that up because I think at times our guys feel like, man, everybody says this is the worst it's ever been. It's not. We're actually making positive project.
Is this all not just so pathetic and sad? Our guys are hearing the social media noise about how bad it is, and I have to remind them that it's not the worst that it's ever been, everybody.
Is that a jab at Stephen Peake?
It's not the worst that it's been. It's minimally better than the worst that it's ever been. Minimally. Like, dude, what are...
It's the worst 6-year stretch in Kentucky basketball history. We've had some good moments, but it is. It just is.
And, like, the fact that his defense is just like, it's actually a little bit better, everybody. A little bit better. It's just so pathetic.
I want to say this, and this is coming from somebody who listens to Pat Kelsey talk a lot as well, who both these guys, extremely analytic people. Like that's their big things. That's their MO is, maybe the on-court isn't exactly what you want to see, but here's the analytics, here's the stats, here's the records. And Pat Kelsey does this exact same thing that Mark Pope's doing right now, where he brings these statistics to you. He brings these trends. He brings these, all these things going on with the team to show progress. But at the end of the day, it's almost like it makes me when I listen to them, it makes me feel like that they're out of touch. Because do they not understand we also see the analytics as well? Like, it's not like they have guys in the back writing these stats and we're not allowed to ever see them. So when it is something that's kind of disingenuous or misleading, it gets picked apart on social media within the first 30 seconds it's live. Because we all see it. It's not like the analytics are something hid behind a paywall or a firewall. Like, we can't get to it. So it's just, I'm just tired of hearing the analytic talk from any coach in college basketball.
It's just their PR spins. What you can call them stat pat PR spins, and we'll call it cope with Pope PR spins. It's what they have to do to try to make themselves look a little bit better. But we have eyeballs, and now we have 2 years of evidence, and it's not good enough. And I'm going to save this conversation for another day, but I do think we could spend an entirety of a 2-hour radio show and say, like, who's set up better? Who has done better? Has Pat Kelsey done better? Has Mark Pope done better? They're 1-1 against each other. Mark Pope's gone further in the tournament 1 of the 2 years. Louisville's never gone further than Kentucky in the Pat Kelsey era. But, like, who has done better given the circumstances, expectations, resources, and who's set up better to moving forward? And you're obviously a U of L fan, producer Matt, so you got to look out for the cards, and you've got your own biases, and I'm a Cats fan, obviously. But the fact that it's even a conversation to me is wildly disappointing. Pat Kelsey has been average at best at U of L. He has not met expectations. U of L fans aren't thrilled with him. And the fact that I can't even confidently say that Mark Pope will definitively be better over the next 5 years is pathetic. Yeah. It shows where the issue is with this entire thing. And I would guess that Mark Pope would be better, I would hope, but I don't know. Pat Kelsey's probably gotten better talent brought into the program than Mark Pope has. Now, the issue is, it is shocking how poorly Pat Kelsey has done in the front court in 2 years at U of L. I mean, just unbelievably bad. But in the backcourt, it's been really good, or really fun at least. It's been entertaining to see.
Point guard U.
Yeah. I did see Michigan State calling themselves point guard U. That obviously had to be an intentional shot.
Yeah, that was
right?
the whole, like, Jeremy Fears thing going at it, because they have Caleb Glenn on roster, too, so I think that has something to do with it.
Oh, I see. I was like, like, nobody ever thinks of Michigan State as point guard U. That has to be an intentional shot. Anyways, keep it going.
We're making positive progress by the numbers, and I'm grateful for the work and the commitment of our guys, and we're going to keep going. And the thing is, we have to keep getting better and better and better as we grow this program to the point where we're actually hanging a banner. And this is all part of the process. And we have nothing in our offices, in our locker room, besides hope and excitement.
Oh, well, how's that hope doing for the fan base? All right, is that the whole clip there?
What does that mean? He's got nothing but hope in the locker room. Like, what does that mean? Like, does it mean like the players that are coming back have hope that they're gonna? What's he talking? I mean, I don't know. I will say this: they definitely weren't too down after their loss to Iowa State in that locker room.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday. You said it was a locker room unlike any that you'd seen, a losing locker room unlike anything that you had seen. All right, I do want to just give a little head. The station had pointed this out. The Lord's Kitchen food truck is in our studio parking lot, serving hamburgers, hot dog, brats, and they serve from noon to, do they put a close time? Well, starting at noon on Tuesdays and Friday in our studio parking lot. And the Lord's Kitchen, great volunteer-based, charity-based food truck. You can check them out. We are on Taylorsville Road, 3728 Taylorsville Road. So if you are interested in the Lord's Kitchen food truck, you can check them out today. Together, groups or businesses, we can end hunger in our city, one meal at a time. They have all sorts of different food varieties. And check them out in our station's parking lot today if you'd like to. One final segment, Kentucky Roll Call, coming up next on Big X Sports Radio. Stephen Peake's birthday. Producer Matt T.J. Walker will read your text into the show when we return. Radio. If you hadn't had lunch today, Salsaritas, 3 locations in the Louisville area, Middletown, St. Matthews, and out in Bullitt County off I-65. Keep them in mind for catering. Download that Salsaritas app. Taco Tuesday, hit them up for dinner. All the kids, they can get different things. You get what you want. They make it fresh right in front of you. It's affordable. Save money with the app. Seems like they're always giving away $2 off, free entree, free chips and salsa, wildly addictive chips. I've been in a big chips and salsa mood lately. Just want to go to town on some good chips and salsa, so probably just going to hit up Salsaritas for dinner tonight. You should do the same. That Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. The Cats, Fat Cats, take on Murray State tonight at Kentucky Proud Park. Wow, Stephen Peak rooting against Nick Mingione and the Bat Cats, but UK spinning this as programs that have appeared in the last 2 College World Series, which is totally true. Who would have thunk it? But that'll be one that UK needs to win tonight. Maybe one that you can't take for granted, though. And then big shout-out to Kenny Brooks and the UK women's basketball team advancing to the program's first Sweet 16 in a decade. Is that so?
Is that right?
Been a long time.
I didn't realize it's been that long.
They've been there. They hold on and beat West Virginia in Morgantown yesterday, setting up a rematch against the SEC tournament champion Texas Longhorns in Fort Worth. So probably a pro-Texas crowd there. UK played Texas on the road this season and played them really close. It was a back-and-forth game going into the fourth quarter, and Texas women's team ended up winning by, I think, like 7 or 8 points, somewhere in that ballpark. But a very competitive game. Texas women's team, more talented than UK. UK has plenty of size, though, and you never know what can happen in a Sweet 16 NCAA tournament game. And then U of L women, they held on yesterday against SEC's Alabama at the KFC Yum Center. Alabama had a shot at the buzzer for the win. It did not go in, and U of L advances. They are also in the same region as UK, and they are taking on, and what's the 2 seed there, producer Matt?
Michigan, I believe.
Michigan, yes, you're right. So Louisville's got a good chance to win that game, too. If Kentucky can pull off the upset, it's not impossible. You could have a UK U of L Elite 8 game for a chance at the Final Four.
That would be awesome.
But Cats have a tall challenge. Texas, a heavy favorite to get out of that region, and understandably so. They are very, very good. But
who did Texas lose to this year? They have 3 losses. LSU, they lost back-to-back games. I mean, to
South Carolina,
really good teams. LSU, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. So they haven't been beaten by a team outside of the top 12 yet.
Gotcha. And UK competitive against all of those teams. They're in LSU. The hunt with those teams. Beat LSU, came up just short both to South Carolina and Vanderbilt. But who knows? If everything goes their way, they can win that game.
Why did I remember this game against Texas being a lot closer?
What was the final score?
64-53.
64. Oh, it ended up being 9 points. It was like 11, a 1 point, 10. It was a tied maybe going into the fourth quarter.
See, I thought
it was a good game.
Okay, so they were down by 3 in the fourth quarter.
They played them very close,
and it was in Austin.
Yeah,
it's not insane to think that Kentucky can win that game.
They're playing well. They're at 100% health. They're as healthy as they have been. So
I know that this is weird, but I think I'd almost be pulling for Louisville then to win also.
That is weird.
Just to have,
I'll just leave it at that.
That'd be big for women's basketball in the state to have those two play against each other for a shot at the Final Four.
Stephen Peak, the known Louisville fan on Kentucky Roll Call.
Yeah, closet Louisville fan over here.
All right, let's read some text here on the Game Day Men's Health text line. Can Matt and Scoot speak on Pope's response regarding the Yaxel comments? I lost brain cells listening to those goobers defend Yaxel and tell Kentucky fans to ease up on the copium.
Is this where Mark Pope earlier said that there was no way it happened or something like that?
Yeah, he said definitively not true.
So I talked about this on Just the Cats this morning as well. I'm glad that he addressed it. The way I feel about it is that if it's 100% not true, I'm not saying he's lying or anything. I'm just saying if it was 100% not true, why did he not just say that originally? Well, why is he pushing it off? Why are we moving this conversation to a later date?
I think Tom Leach on his show today said as much. He was like, and Pope finally said last night what he should have said a week ago and just flat out said it was blatantly untrue.
I said that it gave me the same vibe as the whole, like, after U of L debacle stuff where he said that stuff happened and then you'll find out at a later date. And then when he said it, he was like, nothing actually even happened.
I totally. He should have just said that. He should have flat out. He should have said it with like, well, how do you? And I'm not saying. Listen, I promise. I'm not saying that Mark Pope needs to be more like Dan Hurley or Mick Cronin. But how do you think those two guys would have handled? Hey, there's a player out there that says y'all offered them $7 to $9 million. Do you think he'd be like, well, don't people are talking about things and it's beautiful sometimes how it's beautiful with everything and it can be beautiful. They'd be like, they said what?
No.
That idiot.
McCollum would be like, you let him raise their voice as you?
I guess maybe he was concerned that he would, be calling a player a liar or something.
Who cares?
Yeah.
He's calling you a liar. Are you a liar? Like, you got to defend yourself. Again, you got to defend yourself. And I think what he said yesterday was totally appropriate, and I believe him. I don't think that Yaxel was offered $7 to $9 million. I do think that he was either flat out lying or more likely probably just misguided or was told some incorrect information.
Yeah, it could have been his agent. Sure.
It's one of those for me where it's like, if all season Mark Pope has said things to an exaggerated rate, or some of them, he pushed the boundaries and got people really excited and were disappointed. So it was one where the only information we had to go on was Yaxel saying that it was 7 to 9. That's all we had. So, and now Mark is pushing the comments off and then now saying it's not true. So it's one of those where it's like, okay, which person do I take with at face value? The one who, probably has no reason to even bring this up anyway, so it's a flawed statement to make, or the person who has outwardly pushed off just, questions through in the past of the season, has misled his fan base to multiple questions and or just dances around almost half the questions he's asked. It's one where like Mark Pope has built this reputation up himself for me not to say, oh, well, now that he said it, I 100% believe it. It's like if your son or daughter, every single time you catch them in something, they lie about it. About a month down the road, when they say something to tell the truth, it's the boy who cried wolf. It's like, okay, well, what do I believe?
Well, and that goes great lead-in into Mark Pope's analysis on UK's recruiting situation. And I was curious what UK fans thought of this. We're not going to play the clip, but he said, I'm limited in what I can say in recruiting. I don't know if we're ever going to, and he stops and he pauses. Listen, we're really excited about where we are. Just hang in, guys. Hang in there with us. I think recruiting's going to work out just great, is what Mark Pope told Tom Leach on the Coach's Show last night. First and foremost, what do you all think he was going to say before he stopped himself and he said, I don't know if we're ever going to, I think he was going to say, I don't think it's ever going to be recruiting like you all remember.
That's what he was going to say,
again,
100%.
I just can't freaking help. Like, how Rick Pitino and St. John's are recruiting freshmen?
They're not.
Yes, they're not.
Right.
Dude, are you just, who doesn't have a GM anymore or did, but then it didn't work out so well?
Rick Pitino.
And St. John's.
Yeah.
Are you just doing everything that Poppy and Daddy St. John's Rick Pitino's doing?
Yes.
Well,
to an extent.
dude.
He's not trying to play the same style as St. John's.
Oh, I wish. But
well, to an extent, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like they're.
Do you think that's what he was going to say? I don't know if we're ever going to. Do you think that's what he was alluding to? Like, that we're not going to be doing freshmen the way that we used to?
The way that, we're obviously never going to be what this was before.
What about a freshman? A freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be able to recruit one guy. I mean, I look at the 2024 UConn as kind of like the ideal roster makeup. You have one star freshman surrounded by veterans and good players, and you go out and you get a 1 seed and you win the national title with relative ease. I think that's how you do it.
You just copy that, guys.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard.
I'm not saying
that it's easy, but when you have $22 million to spend, it's not like you can't do it. I mean, you didn't, but it's like, it should be possible. And I'm not saying it's going to look like that every year, but you should be able to land 1 5-star, surround them with some veteran guys who can play, and the tournament is so random, and we talked about this earlier. Would a Sweet 16 satisfy fans next year? Probably not. But it would satisfy me if you have a great regular season where Kentucky is the talk of the sport for most of the year.
Okay, and then if you got upset in a Sweet 16,
then I can live with that.
Well,
it'd be disappointing. I'd be devastated. I'd be pissed off. But I can handle that if we're
the exact conversation would be, at least we had a fun 4 months. At least we felt like we were back. We came up just short in the Sweet 16.
Win something.
Go our way. Yeah.
Win something.
I hear
win
that.
the SEC. Let's win the SEC tournament. Why do we have the worst record in the Champions Classic, the worst record in the CBS Sports Classic, and we're not winning anything?
Roush and I would try to do a fun thing where we'd call it rapid fire. Sometimes we'd even play music in the background where we try to get through text fast and not spend more than like 30 seconds responding to a text. So let's try to do that as best we can. 30 to 60-second responses to these texts. Happy birthday, Pete. Glad to have you on the show. TJ, have you started the new jury duty yet?
Dude, I just got a text message from my wife about that show.
We literally last night when working out were trying to look for it on TV and could not find it.
I'll send you the link.
So dumb.
It's so good.
We found the old season too. Granted, the wife did have the remote in her hands. I was in the process of working out, so I'll probably just default to blaming her.
TJ's too busy working out, Matt.
That she couldn't blame. No. I was on the treadmill, and she was the one that was looking for it, and she was like, I can't find it. I thought it was already out, and I was like, well, maybe it is. I thought it was out too, but whatever. And then we just watched the new Rooster show. Have you all watched that on HBO with Steve Carell? It's we watched 2 episodes. It's pretty funny.
Pretty funny?
All right. Yeah, it's like a good show.
We just started watching Arrested Development.
Just randomly?
Yeah. She said I had never watched it, and she said you love it, and she's right.
I love Arrested Development.
Yeah,
the writing in that show is as good as you will ever find in TV.
It really is. The jokes are so good and subtle, and I love subtle jokes like that. That's why I like The Office.
You can watch it 10 times, and you will pick up new jokes or new things every time. Like it's one of those shows. The Arrested Development is hilarious.
We're gonna get through 1 of 10 here pretty soon.
A texter on the Gameday Men's Health text line says, I must have missed you all playing the Pope audio. Can you all play it again, please? That's a great text. Definitely another texter says, next thing you know, nope, that's an old one. Pathetic. Does Pope think it's 20-year assignment, says one texter. Another texter says he said 55 points instead of 0.5. Another texter says it's much worse. A-Cuff retired jersey and still playing is the alternative. We went to the championship game in 2014. Thanks again for the stupid pregame cow to the Lakers. Done deal tweet, Rex Chapman. Another texter says, you can, in the nil era, Kentucky and North Carolina are proof that elite coaching is most important. You still need good coaching. There is no doubt about that. Hey, who is the worst coach in the Sweet 16?
Good question.
Probably some people that are like,
John Calipari.
Worst coach.
Yeah, no, John Calipari is still not the worst. Who do you think the worst team is? Worst coach is, I mean. That's a good question. Man, there's a lot of good coaches in there, though, man, as you would expect.
Yeah, good. I mean, you got to probably, Sean Miller?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. That's probably it, honestly.
I would go as far as saying Matt Painter. I don't like him.
Really?
I don't like him as a head coach.
You just don't like the style of play. But he's been to a national championship game.
Look at Purdue basketball.
I know he's had
so relevant.
This is a biased take. I'm not putting any. I'm just saying you're right. I don't like his brand of basketball, and I don't think that his brand of basketball can win a national championship.
Rick Barnes, maybe.
I was gonna say the hot take is probably Rick Barnes. Out of all of the coaches that are, yeah.
It's Sean Miller is probably the right answer.
Tom Izzo. Only one national championship all the way back in 2000.
Yeah, but how many Final Four? Is there like 8 Final Fours?
The job done?
Is everybody like totally in on Fred Hoiberg and Ben McCollum? I love Ben McCollum. I've been a Ben McCollum fan.
But Brandon Ramsey's big on Ben McCollum. I usually defer to what Brandon says most of the time.
Yeah. Another texter on the Gameday Men's Health text line says, we overcorrect. Reed and Rob played almost the whole game. We went cold. Oscar's double death premonition in the other one. We had a great coach. These are old texts, so it's just kind of tough to say exactly what they're referencing. Pope lost a third of his games at BYU, says one texter. That's not good. U of L, UKIU basketball has come down to earth. This is perhaps inevitable. College basketball is in the lurch due to nil. It's in a bad way. I disagree. I think college basketball is in an incredibly healthy spot. I think it's a lot of fun. You're seeing more programs have success and get a feel for the bug. I think that you're seeing the Big 12, Big 10, and SEC in the nil era all be better than they had been previously. Now, if you love Cinderellas and whatnot, that may not be the best thing for the sport. But those 3 programs you mentioned are certainly down. Will they stay down?
Let me ask, did you like that Final Four in 2023? FAU, SDSU.
No.
And then Connecticut versus whoever they played. I don't even, was it Alabama? Might have been Alabama. No, Alabama got beat.
Alabama was in 24.
Yeah. So I don't even remember who the other team was. But people like upsets. They love them. But then the ratings drop when that team plays
Miami.
Yeah,
Miami.
That's right.
Yeah, Nigel Pack.
Yeah, so he did not like that Final Four. What we want in the Final Four, I don't want Duke making Final Fours, but what America wants and what the world, what the people who are watching games, we know this from looking at the ratings, that when upsets happen, the next game that team who made the upset plays in doesn't get as many eyeballs. So
good teams just need to win.
That's what you're getting now. That's what you're getting. You're getting, there's no major in the Sweet 16.
Are the tournament games good? Are they fun? Do they come down to the wire? Are there last-second shots? Are there exactly what happened in the Santa Clara UK game? One team thinks they're winning, yay. Oh, no, all of a sudden their hearts are ripped out.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. I don't care. Like, I'm not one that wants to see a Cinderella in the Elite Eight because odds are they're just going to get pounded in the Elite Eight. I don't see a Cinderella necessarily in the Sweet 16 because at some point the slipper's not going to fit. They don't win the national championship. Now, I do like a good run. They are fun to follow, but I just want an exciting tournament, whether that means Cinderella goes a little bit further, if it means they don't. I just want good games. I have good games, and I'm very excited for this weekend game, so I'm a happy camper. I feel like some people, if you're really dying on the Cinderella hill, you're probably just not a true college basketball fan to begin with. You're probably just tuning in March. But if you're a big fan of the sport, this has been a great March, even though Kentucky not overly not participating as much as we would like.
So Tennessee, they had a good shot now of making, what, is that 3 straight Elite Eights?
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't like that.
Is that 3 straight? Obviously last year.
24, 25, and then if they are able to upset Iowa State, who, again, is without their – I assume he's not playing.
I would be shocked if he played.
He was in a boot.
That being said, I still think they can beat Tennessee without him. It won't be a 19-point win, but they can beat Tennessee without him with the style of play, and they're just good. They're a good team. The comparison between SEC from Cal's first 2 years and they'll have a ton of fans there. They're going to have Iowa State and Michigan will be well represented. And then who's Michigan playing? Alabama?
Yep.
Alabama and Tennessee, that's going to be weird for them. They're going to be the odd fan bases out there. Iowa State will have that place like a zoo, and Michigan as well. Michigan travels incredibly well for basketball. The comparison between the SEC from Cal's first 2 years and Pope's first 2 years is poor. Give Cal $20 million in 2009 to 2011 to pay guys, and do you think we would have had an impacted? Do you think that would have impacted his winning percentage?
Didn't he get all the best players?
That's why. That's why that stuff is. Yeah, that's why I don't like the comparisons. And he did get the best players, and he did very well then. So, again, you throw in the money aspect. Could he have done a little bit better? Sure, possibly.
Maybe he keeps Jody Meeks. But what if 2009?
But what if? And rival fans are going to suggest this. But what if Kentucky was doing some wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge?
I'm not suggesting.
Now that everybody else can do it, Kentucky basketball has taken a little bit of a step back. Hey, you guys forgot about Wake Up 502 with Rashawn Myers every Saturday morning on Big X. And I thought you guys were my favorite Big Blue media. We are going through the day by day, but don't forget to listen to Wake Up 502 on Saturdays with Rashawn Meyer. Otega Owe, not a role player. Most people who listen to the show, we got to that one already. Some of the frustration boiling over from the previous to Pope may be that's not completely fair. But it's time for UK fans to have a season they enjoy from the jump. A deep run in March is obviously important, but I'm sick and tired of the regular season feeling like an absolute slog. Well said. Totally agree with that. And that's what Peak's been. We were saying that going into this offseason. We just need a dominant regular season where we feel like we're the hammer, not the nail.
Yeah.
Now, if we tape one up on the wall.
Yeah, that'll get the. Come on, guys. We're going to be the hammer.
Is this the guy who couldn't handle a hot cheeseburger telling us we need to get our testosterone up? I can handle a hot cheeseburger.
I think he was talking about me.
Oh.
Because I said that it was a little hotter than I expected.
Yeah, it's a little spicy. I don't want to pile on the kid, but I now have to do with the Lowe segment. This team wouldn't have been much better with him. Drinking too much of that offseason Kool-Aid is nonsense. Lowe would have just been another guard who can't shoot and is a liability on defense. Mark Pope is not trying to win a national championship next year if he brings Lowe back as point guard.
Well, the whole issue, though, is that you had to set up an offense that wanted to go to the left side, but without Lowe, you didn't know how are we going to do that.
Yeah,
that was so weird. I did not like that.
Happy birthday, Stephen Peak. Hopefully the women's basketball team can win in your honor this upcoming weekend. Go Batcats beat Murray State. That's from Patrick Murphy.
Thank you,
hey,
Patrick.
Peak, okay, but this man doesn't measure up to Big Daddy Roush. Not
at all.
Not true. Stephen Peak blows Roush out of the water. I don't want to pile on the kid, blah, blah, blah. All right, I think we got them all. Peak, have a good birthday, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, Jacob Polachek on the show. This is KRC on the Big X.